Hello, good evening. It is so awesome to have all of you guys here this evening with us. It's such a joy to celebrate today being February, Black History Month. And tonight we have just a panel of Black excellence and all of you joining me just to celebrate Black History Month. So thank you ever so much. Black Men Speak Up is a program put on by Roots Community Services, Inc. And the lead counselor is Shane. And I want to just let you know a little bit about Roots before we start. And Roots is a charitable organization that has culturally relevant programs, predominantly for the Black and Caribbean community. It serves the region of Peel since 1985, and there's services for children, seniors, women, men, families, and that's Roots Community Services, Inc. So what I want you to know before we start is Shane, who is the counselor, and we'll put his slide up. After each session, he is there for all men who identify as Black for complementary therapy. So I really want you guys to take this opportunity, and I want you, if you want, take a picture of that slide so that you know if you or yourself, or if you know a man who identifies as Black who needs extra support, Shane is there for you. I really want to encourage you. This isn't the time to be shy. If you just want to chat about something you might be facing, Shane's your go-to guy. Trust me, he's my go-to guy. Okay, so I want to make sure and put that out there that he's there for you guys. Another thing that I want to do before we start is I want to talk a little bit about February. Okay, February is a month where there's so much going on. So let's just start with a poll. Okay, I want to do a poll, and I'm going to have that put up on the screen. And I'm going to I really want to know where you guys all stand with the month of February. So let's see if we could just, oh, hi, Dion, in the chat, just let me know, what's your favorite thing about February? Is it Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, Black History Month, or the fact that it's a short month? If you guys could just put that in the chat so that I know where you stand. What's your favorite thing about February? Is it Groundhog Day, Valentine's Day, Black History Month, or the fact that it's a short month? Okay, so let's see. Hi, Cleone. Hi. Oh, Black History Month. Awesome. Oh, hi, Fiona. Hi, Black History Month. Wow. Yes, Eugene. Carlos says Black History Month. Trisha says Black History Month. Trinidad. Yes, Gregory. Yes, Trinidad. Oh, Kwan says Black History Month for sure. And Family Day, Dion. Yeah, me too. I like Family Day a lot as well. I love a lot. Okay, let's see what else we love about February. Awesome. I love it. Yes, Monty, Black History Month. I love that too. That's one of my favorite things as well. Awesome. I love it. And so guys, feel free in the chat. Hi, Lisa, to say where you're from. Black History Month. Everyone's saying Black History Month. Kendra saying another month closer to summer. Diana, girl, I hear you. It's 1 month closer to summer. Hear you, another month. So that being said, for those of you who are just joining, before we get started, my name is Karen Carrington. I am your host. And today we're going to have our topic about, every month we have a different theme. So last month we did like survival. A month before that we did loss. A month before that we talked about adversity. A month before that we talked about a Black man's pain. So everything we're going to talk about today is from the Black man's perspective. So ladies, I love you. I'm a lady too. And sometimes ladies, we tend to say things like it's our space. So for today, what we're going to do is we're going to respect the fact that it's a Black man's space. So of course, ladies, chime in, say what you need to say, but let's make sure we're supporting our Black men and making sure that we have them in a safe, judgment-free zone, right? So no judgment against them. This is their space to say what they need to say. So today our topic is going to be about fatherhood from the Black men's perspective, fatherhood and the challenges that they face. And before I introduce my guest, I just want to quickly bring up some stats so that we could meditate on that as we go through the episode. So let's just bring up some stats that I researched for you guys. And I just want to show you in Canada, as of 2020, 1.78 million single parent Canadian families. So stats show that children from fatherless homes, 72% of them are all teenage murderers when they come from fatherless homes. 60% of them become rapists. 70% of them end up going to jail. They're twice as likely to quit school, 11 times more likely to be violent. 3 out of 4 suicides, 80% end up in psychiatric hospitals, and 90% of them being a runaway. So I just want you guys to, I'm going to even leave that up for a bit. I know that for me personally, my father was in the home, but was always kind of really busy. And I'll be very transparent. I ran away quite a few times. So I do know that feeling. So again, those are Canadian stats. And I really want you guys to meditate on that, or even feel free to take a picture before we move forward. That being said, I want to bring up my power panel, my partners in crime, my friends, strong Black men. I want to bring up Kern. Kern, are you with me?
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh God, you're here. You're here. You're here. Kern, I appreciate you. And I can't wait to see what you have to say about that video that we just put up. And then I want to also bring up with me, who's with me? Andre, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Check,
Thanks
check.
for having me.
Check, check. You're here. Check. You're here. Andre, guys, audience, that's my boy, Andre. He has lots to say. He doesn't hold back. Sweets, my boy from Atlanta. Oh, that voice, that voice. My boy from Atlanta, I love you. Thank you for being here. You're going to really, yeah, I know you're going to bring a lot of heat tonight. And Monty, guys, Monty is joining us from Japan. Monty is a good friend of mine. Monty has been there for me from day one. He is tuning in from Japan. Monty, what time is it? Are you in the future? What day is it, Monty? What day is it for you?
It's Wednesday,
right?
10:22 a.m.
So you're in the future. So let us know in the future how Black fathers are going to end up in the future. That being said, I'm going to start with you, Kern. Kern, can you just weigh in? Can you weigh in on that video you saw? What are your thoughts?
I think two things stand out to me about that video. The first thing is I think we really, I like when Tyrese spoke about just really holding other Black men accountable. I think that's super important. I think as we think about how to just do better and expect more and be better fathers, I think it starts with our own community. Starts with the individual first, but then it starts with our community holding ourselves accountable, because we're seeing it, you know, like these are friends and uncles and, you know, cousins and stuff like that that we're with. So if we could encourage them and make sure that they're doing the right thing, I think it only could help our community and help the youth and help our kids. That was one thing. I think the other part that's just rough is just how many. I think he called it the lost generation is what he called it.
Amen.
That one struck hard, because for me, I feel the same way. Like I say that I don't call us a lost generation, but I say that our fathers failed us, especially if you're born in like the 80s or something like that. Like our fathers weren't there. I grew up in a building, an 18th floor community housing building, and one of us had both parents in the building. This is 18 floors of Black people, and only one of us had our father in the building. One. So I for us, unfortunately, it felt normal. It felt normal not to have our parents, or not to have a father. It was something that we expected. So if we don't now get together and encourage ourselves, what different do we know? What different do we know? We've seen single parent households way too much. We grew up in them. You know what I'm saying? So I think those two things really struck out to me. The accountability part, I think, is important, and then just the part that it does feel sometimes, I guess in his words, like it's a lost generation. But on the flip side, I just think we need to do better.
I agree. And thanks. And you have one daughter, correct?
Yeah, one daughter, teenage daughter. She's 18 now, actually.
18. And you're a single dad, correct?
Yes.
We're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that.
Oh, I know.
We're gonna go there. We're gonna go there. We're going to go there.
Yeah.
And Andre, can you weigh in? What touched you? What resonated with you about that video?
Good evening again, and thanks for having me. What really resonated with me with that video is the mere fact that he said something down the line that it's so much easier for us as fathers to make excuses or to not be there for our kids. Like, I didn't grow up with my father, and it was rough for me. At 9 years old, my dad left. At 11, I had no mom or dad by my side, and I had to figure a way out at 11. I was a man at 11. I could not be a child at 11. So I had to figure out my way at 11. And what so many things could have happened at that time to where I'm at right now. But thank God that I had some role model in my life that guide me and lead me into the right path. I feel like our fathers need to do better. I feel like we're going around in circle because my father wasn't there for him. So you feel like it's okay for him not to be there for me. You know what I mean? And then you find that it's a cycle, because then when I get a kid, I'm gonna say, oh, well, my dad wasn't there for me, so I don't necessarily have to be there for you.
And you said you were alone since you were 9?
11.
And do you still right now feel alone without your father?
To be completely honest with you, I have asked questions and I've done research, and I have forgiven my father. I realized that my dad couldn't do better. He didn't understand better. You know what I mean? He did not know how to father. He did not know how to be there for me because his dad weren't there for him. He didn't know how to extend the love that I need as a child because his father didn't show him that kind of love. So now that I've grown and I've matured a lot, I've come to, like, I'm not a father, but I father kids because I'm a soccer coach. And one of the happiest time of my life is going to soccer practice and meeting these boys, knowing that 90% of them too come out of a single parent home. So knowing that I'm there, being that role model, being that influence, trying to get them into that 5% as Black men and as Black leaders, it makes me feel really good and give me an opportunity to forgive my father too.
I'm going to come back to something I want to ask you about that. I'm going to document. There's something I want to ask you. Monty, what's your take on that video?
I'd like to add 2 things and 2 points that they brought up. One, when they said it takes a village to raise a kid or a child, it should be a whole lot of men that's involved in raising a male child. For the simple fact, each man can bring something different to the table, and the child learns more than just one thing. Like, my father might know one thing, but then my grandfather might know something, my uncle, my male cousin, and then they contribute to that male passing on things. And then the other thing is, if the male is in the home, he needs to be an active male, not a doped up male or passed out from whatever substance or just not engaged, but he actually needs to be hands-on, because nowadays, new technology, people buy video games and everything like that to where you don't see fathers outside throwing the football, teaching kids how to box, anything that's hands-on. That's more useful than any type of material thing that a child can have.
Yeah, I agree. I love the way you said there's the uncle, there's the brother. Who do you lean on, Monty, in your family for mentorship?
My family, I come from a family of pastors and police officers. So all the males in my family was pastors and police officers. The women were nurses and teachers. So we was always taught you're family helpers, and they passed it on to us.
I love that. It's a family. And thank you for that. And Sweets, what resonates with you most from that video? I got to hear this one.
Well, you know what? The excuses that men do make when it comes to being a father, especially when circumstances may arise Whereas I'm gonna give you a prime example. Myself, my children's mother and I couldn't get along. So we had a argument that led to an altercation. I got arrested, and then a peace bond arrived. So now I'm not able to come 200 feet of the building.
So let
But
me just stay there for a second. So altercation with your child's mother, and now there's that restriction there, right?
The restriction there now, right?
Okay.
And with that restriction, I had a peace bond, so I couldn't go near the building. To add to that, my son was a newborn, so that was the reason why I was going there. Because my daughter, I was schooling her at home during that time, so she had her boyfriend. I didn't really care about that. That's not my concern. My concern was just the two people that I had in the house that had my blood.
Mm.
So when that restraining order came into play, so now I had to find a way to still keep that connection with my kids by sending someone to pick them up, because I couldn't go because I want to get arrested again. And that stuff I had to do for like a whole year, where I could have said, you know what, if you don't want me to see my kids, forget it. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? But I didn't do that. I didn't succumb to what she wanted. What I wanted was for my kids to know who their daddy was. And then that was it. Because I grew up with a mother and father. They married for 49 years before my mother's life passed on. And I seen the relationship my mother and my father had. And that's what I wanted for myself. But since I couldn't have that for myself, I wanted that for my kids. You know what I mean? So with that said, I tried to be the hammer and keep hitting the nail. Just like that, on the head, every day. I always tell my kids I love them, so that way they know that if something happened to me, nobody could tell them that, oh, your dad loved you. Oh, I know he loved me because he told me that every time he talked to me. And then that's what we as parents gotta do. We gotta let our kids know, hey, listen, I love you. I just kissed my son on the cheek till he was 21 in front of all his friends. Because that's my son. That's my daughter. You know what I mean? So there's no excuses for anything that man can put in front of us that we can't overcome.
Do you feel like your child's mother was purposely trying to make it difficult for you to see your kids?
She was, because you know what? She was bitter. She was bitter. And I get it. We're young, vindictive, spiteful, all those things that lead us to stray away from the manly duties that we're supposed to live up to.
Do you think it's common that we're talking about Black right now, that Black women do that, in your opinion?
You know what? Yes. Back then, that was the norm for them at the time. You know what I mean? Because they want to spite you. They want to do things to make it hard for you to have a connection with your kids, because they're trying to make the boyfriend become the daddy.
The new boyfriend.
The new boyfriend.
Right.
You know what I mean? So me, I wasn't having that. I mean, she had the boyfriend stand up as me in the church christening my son.
The boyfriend was in the church christening your son without you there.
Without me there. And she didn't want to give me the address to the church.
I remember that.
Yeah, so my cousin, who was the godfather, told me where the church was. When I got there and I saw the guy standing up as me, I wanted to just, right? And it so happened that, you know what? I lost my temper, I ain't gonna lie. And things got out of hand. And, you know, I was young and temperamental at the time. Because what's mine is mine's. And
the judgment-free zone, that's what you did back then. It was your, we don't condone it, but at that time you felt, did you feel emasculated? Is that how you felt?
Yeah, I felt like she was trying to take that from me. She was trying to take that from me. And it put a restraining on mine and her relationship, because we were like oil and water. We were not going to mix it, no time. And people knew that. And you could see it in the relationship, because it became a tug of war with the kids. You know what I mean? So now what your mom says about me, you got to hear that. Meanwhile, I'm not saying nothing about her because I don't really give two shits. You know what I mean? So, you know, mothers are, oh, your daddy's no good, that beat and all that shit. When really and truly, the kids see for themselves.
Mm.
You know what
Were
I
you
mean?
ever worried that the kids would believe her?
Nah, they just let her talk because I'm working in the salon. I have my son with me. I have my daughter with me, right? And I kept them with me close. And I try to influence them, right? And
Mm.
they see me work and hustle, right?
Mm.
My daughter worked and hustle. My daughter worked everywhere I worked as a teenager. So that's the influence I had on her.
I remember that. Yeah,
And she's still working that hard right till this day.
she is.
And then my son, same thing. I took my son and I say, hey, listen, I'm not working as hard as I used to, but your grandfather is working hard and he's going to show you the way and how to become a man and work hard for what you need.
Mm.
And I sent them out there to go work with my dad. And my dad paid him. And then I paid him on top of that because I was trying to influence him in that way.
Got it.
And now he works at UPS. He gets up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning. He's at work. It's just the mentality that we got to implant in all these kids growing up.
Got it.
Nothing's fast and nothing's easy.
Nothing's fast and nothing's easy. That should be the tagline of tonight. Nothing's fast is nothing's easy. And Kern, I meant to ask you, Kern, you had this situation with your child's mother when you went to the school to pick up your daughter once. There was yeah, I know yeah. Can you just take us there for a second?
Yeah, it was interesting. It's wild because I'm literally just now talking about all this stuff. You're reading the stuff that I'm putting out, so it's still a lot because it's really fresh. Well, it's fresh as far as me talking about it, not when it happened. So
Yeah.
I had full custody of my daughter since she was 13, and the way that kind of happened was on the last couple of weeks before she had graduated middle school. So she was in 8th grade, a couple of weeks before graduation. I went to go pick her up from school, and at that time me and my baby mother were already in court, so we're already going through a custody battle. And it wasn't my week to pick up my daughter, but something had happened over that past weekend where her mother let's just say she said some really disrespectful stuff to my mom, to her daughter, to our daughter, and to, of course, me. Some really, really, really disrespectful stuff, and I'm not going to repeat it. So because she said those things, my daughter wanted me to pick her up that day, and honestly, I wasn't even sure if she would come to pick her up. So I went there early, sat outside my car. I said, if she comes, she comes. If she doesn't, I'll take my daughter, obviously. So she did come, and she was very upset that I was there. So she started screaming. I'm just in my car reading a book, so I'm ignoring her. Like, my window's up. I'm not even trying to pay attention. She's screaming. This is outside in the schoolyard, on the parking lot. So school's out now. Now parents are starting to come, and students are coming outside, and all that stuff, and teachers are coming outside. And I was like, okay, she's still screaming. I'm still taking it. And then I saw my daughter text me. My daughter's like, hey, are you outside? I'm like, yes, but your mom's here. Just go with her. No problems. We don't want no problems. And I guess her mom saw her as well. Her mom saw my daughter. And she basically started to force her into her car. And I was not okay with that. I wasn't okay with that. So I jump out of my car and tell her, listen, that's not going down, And I mean, basically, long story short is that she was basically fighting me and grabbing me. And while my daughter's in one hand over here, my daughter's holding on to my arm over here because she wants to come with me. And my shirt's being pulled and sworn at and everything. And if you know me, I'm a peaceful person. So for me, that's super aggressive. I'm not even like that at all. So I'm not a fighter type of person. So for me, that was wild. It was a really wild situation. So ultimately what happened was this went on for 10, 15 minutes. It wasn't short. It was a really long just fight. And eventually I just told my daughter, listen, just go with her. Don't worry about it. We'll deal with it. And my daughter was she started crying. She's didn't want to go, but she went. And then I was closer to my mom's house that time. So I drove to my mom's house, told her what was happening. And then about 5-10 minutes after I got to my mom's house, my baby mother called. And she said she has two other kids with somebody else. So she called and she's like, you know what? Your daughter is the only one in this house who doesn't have our last name. She said her boyfriend's last name. She's the only one that doesn't have that last name. She has your last name, so why don't you just come pick her up? And she said, I won't even fight anymore. You could have custody. And that's the real story of how I actually got custody. And when I picked up my daughter, I was a little nervous at first because I was like, this feels off. Like that doesn't sound like, you know, like
what's the catch? What's the catch?
And my mom's even like, yo, should you go? I'm like, I don't even know I should go, if I should take this trip down there. But I mean, I did. I went, I grabbed her. And the messed up part to me though, the part that we're like literally like in the moment trying to reconcile now is that day right there where I went and I picked up my daughter and her mother walked her out was the last day she's seen her daughter, her mother. That's been 5 years. 5 years. And there's nothing in the technically there's nothing stopping her from seeing her daughter. I got full custody. Yes, we went to court about a month later and I got full custody. But I told she knows that she could see her daughter anytime. I told my daughter she could see her mom anytime. She went a year before she sent her a text. So like it took a year before she got a text. And again, it's been 5 years since she's seen her. And now that I started writing these pieces that you're speaking about, you're referring, I wrote a short story. I'm writing a short story series called My Failures as a Father, where I'm talking about all these things. And that got back to her now. And that prompted her to actually call my daughter.
So she's reading and guys, Kern writes these literature that I just literally, Kern, it's my Sunday gospel that you write. And so when she saw these writings that you've been doing, that prompted her to
call my daughter. She called my mom's house. And it just happened because I'm moving. So it just happened that my daughter was at my mom's house. Just literally by luck. So they spoke for like 1 minute, 2 minutes they spoke, you know, but my daughter's just not ready for that. And we spoke about it and she's just like, she's just not ready for that. You know, it's not something that she wants to do. It's been 5 years. And if it took an article to make her feel bad about,
I was about to say it's guilt, you know. I was going to say it's guilt, you know, like no judgment, but I feel it's guilt, you know.
That's
like,
what my daughter said though. My daughter feels like that doesn't feel genuine to her.
No,
she's 18. My daughter's 18. My daughter's not.
No, they're smart. They're smart. No, they're smart. They're smart. They're smart.
So she's just like, that's just not for me. For her, that's not real. So, and she's just not ready.
She tried, so I won't have. She tried, but your daughter tried.
I know. So, I mean, to me, like there's two things that is just like first of all, I'm really happy I see like Black women on this call, because I think it's important. They need to listen to all this. Like that's incredible. And I love that Black women are here listening to this. Second of all, I'm really happy that Black women are sharing this deeply. Like it's wild. Karen, you have a way of breaking this out of people. And the third thing is like, I'm kind of sad that a lot of you said that you don't have mentors and you don't have not even mentors, but just people who you can speak with. Like that's a problem. That's a huge problem that we need to solve ASAP. Like today, yesterday, like in this call, like we need to figure
like today, like Monty's in Wednesday. So like before we get to Monty in guys, Japan, Monty's in Japan, so he's in tomorrow. So Monty, did we solve it yet? Yeah, I need to know. In the future, we need to solve it on this ASAP. And you know what, Kern, thanks for saying that. Like you have been with me for years now. And I do think back to when we first met, I think we've made a lot of progress, but you're right. There's a lot more to go. And I love the way you said that you just love seeing this whole community come together. I love that we're all here. What I'm going to do is everybody chime in for this video. I'm going to play the production team's going to play two short videos for us. They're 2 minutes each. I want you guys to watch, take notes, and everybody feel free to chime in. Monty, your take on that video?
There's going to be a whole lot of children that's going to be suffering in the long run. And 9 times out of 10, because they're fighting for what little money they should get, the women, unfortunately, probably will install some bad thoughts or bad behaviors inside of those children. And more than likely, the streets will get them. Because if you don't have that role model there, the streets end up getting them. And when you have multiple kids like that, you never know who's related to who down the run, to where it might be more problems that they face just having that many kids.
And Andre, do you think the state should help pay for the child support?
Well, absolutely not. It's his kids. He chooses to do what he do. I want to relate this video with something that Tyrese said in the earlier video that we watched, about the fact that when you're not there for your kids, then you find them end up with the Crips or the Blood. Is what's going to happen to some of these kids, given that they're boys. You have 22 kids, 11 of them is boys, and he's not there to be that father figure behind the 11 boys. They're going to end up in the wrong crowd. And the wrong crowd, meaning that we're going to have more crime and more violence. I feel like as a community and as Black people, we need to understand what we're doing and making sure that we're setting up proper foundation for our kids so that they can come and inherit something, as opposed to wanting to have 21 and 22 kids with $385.
Yeah, you're right. And some people are thinking or saying that these examples are a little bit extreme to make a point about irresponsible parenting, but this is very, very common. This is very, very common. It's a lot more common than we think. And that's why I wanted to bring it to the forefront, because it's unspoken of. It's very common. And the reason why I wanted to bring this to the forefront is because I do have male clients that I work with that are in this situation, but are feeling embarrassed to come forth. So it may seem extreme, but it's a reality. And Sweets, can I get your take on it?
You know what? I do think that I'm half on that. I don't think the state should come and step forward, but I think they should. But man, the mothers are to blame for that though, because you know what? You took it upon yourself, and I know that a lot of these women got pregnant to take the man from the other woman based on an empty promise that he provided for her at that time. You know what I mean? Oh, she don't mean nothing to me. So you lay down and unprotected. Now, bam, you're pregnant. So now you're hoping that he's gonna be all yours solely. When you just took the man from the other woman, someone's gonna come back and do the same thing to you, and it just trickles on the line. I mean, that's why I'm half and half. Man, they should throw his ass in jail. That's what they need to do.
I think he was. One of them was in jail, and that's why he couldn't pay the support, because he was in jail.
Yeah. Because normally they would the women would dump the kids on the father. Hey, pack the bag up, drop the kids off at the front door, and then bam, they're gone. Leave the kid with the daddy to raise. That's what they all should do. Give him the headache. Give him the headache. 22 kids in one house. Oh, he's gonna have a massive headache.
You're right, because the clients that I work with, I believe he has 19 kids, and it's not illegal, right? It's not illegal. Do you think, I'm going to ask your opinion, do you think that's common? Not common, maybe it's common in the Black community for Black men to have multiple children that they're not able to take care of?
It's very common in the Caribbean community, and I'm sad to say, but it is, because even my uncle has over 20 something kids too, right? I don't know them all. I only know like maybe half their names, and the other half I never met. You know what I mean? So you're putting your family and your heritage at risk by spreading yourself that thin. So now nobody knows who has what. Nobody knows who's who. And it's just like a bunch of scrambled eggs. Everything is scattered all over the damn place.
And no salt, right?
And no salt.
But I thank you for sharing that example, that it's common. Again, we need to bring these stories to the forefront. It's not extreme. It's very, very common. It's very, very, very common. It's very common. Monty, thank you, sweets, for saying your truth. Thank you. That's a lot of people are saying thank you for sharing your truth. Monty, I want to ask you a question. Your journey of fatherhood, you went above and beyond for your daughter. Above and beyond. Can you just go there for us a bit on some of the things that you've done for your daughter that you had to do as a father to go above and beyond, the sacrifices you made?
My daughter followed my footsteps. I was in the United States Navy, firefighting rescue. She entered the Navy. Her separation from home, she met a guy, ended up being in a very unhealthy relationship with abuse that led to producing a child. When that happened, I didn't know about the abuse at first. It was just, he kind of ducked out and wasn't involved. Once I found out everything that was going on, I did a quick sale of my house. I was in Baltimore, Maryland. Sold my house, sold my car, sold my motorcycle, moved out to California where she was at. And then she had took orders for Japan because she was really trying to get away from the guy. So once I got to California, things even changed more, and that's why I'm in Japan. But we have a healthy 2-year-old granddaughter, and I'm happy. So it's material things I had to give up, but I won't give up on my child. I didn't want her career to mess up, and definitely not go through any more violence.
That's what I love about you, is the sacrifice that you made for your daughter, like selling your home, leaving your job. That story really resonates with me. Did you feel like you overly sacrificed for your daughter? Do you ever feel a feeling of, what have I done? Have I given up too much for my daughter?
No, it was all material stuff. I was kind of sitting in neutral, I would say. I had my brief history. I was in the Navy. I was a firefighter. I was a police. I was kind of at the end of my career. You know, a lot of things had changed. The violence in America was changing as far as riots and different things like that. So when I did give it up, it almost was like a sign, like, okay, it's time to get out this game. You've done enough. And then, as they say, everything happened for a reason. So I didn't look back. I walked away from it, and here I am.
You should see everyone saying just respect, because to let all the materialistic things go, and like you said, it's a sign. God sometimes gives us, he always, not sometimes, gives us sign to surrender things that are materialistic, to be there for your family.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there for a second with you, Monty. What happened to the child's father?
After he disappeared, he ended up committing suicide. It was months later. But throughout the pregnancy, he was absent. And after the pregnancy, he was real boisterous, not claiming, being very disrespectful, different things like that. He also seeing other women, putting them through the same thing. And we got the call that he committed suicide. Some say it was foul play, but it's still up in the air. We don't know. The family didn't tell us too much that happened with him on that side.
Did him taking his life have trauma on your daughter?
Yes, she kind of blamed herself for everything because she was trying to get him to, acknowledge the child, everything like that. So she thought that by her wanting him to step up as a man, it added too much pressure to him and what was going on in his life, and that she was responsible for it.
Mm-hmm. She still feels like that now, right?
She does.
I know she does, yeah. Is it something that you try to comfort her with, or is that something you feel she needs to get to that place on her own? I remember you and I had some talks about, you know what, Karen, I try to give her advice. Sometimes I have to learn to step back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I tried to comfort her and give her advice because when I was a police officer, I also did domestic violence. And it felt extra hard knowing that my child was going through something that I was teaching and helping other people with. So that's why, once again, the sacrifice wasn't hard. I knew what victims go through. I just never thought it would happen to my own child.
Mm. You know what victims go through. You never thought it would happen to your own child. And that's why I love that you're here, because your story, we never think that would happen to us, right?
I heard the part of what he said, and I totally agree with him, where they know that you'll do something if your child is hurt. And that was part of the reason why my child didn't tell me at first about the abuse, because she knew I would do something like that. And plus, me being a police officer with connections, she honestly thought that something would happen to the guy. But a lot of times we don't go over the fact that we are very protective, but you still have to tell us.
Meaning the daughter still has to be open with you?
Yes. It was a movie that came out a long time ago. It's like Why Cage Birds Don't Sing. And basically a guy had molested a little girl, and she told her uncles, and they wouldn't kill the guy. So she stopped talking for a while. And I was trying to tell my daughter that no matter how bad something gets, and no matter how you think I might react, it still has to come out.
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, you're right. Thank you for sharing that. I mean, I didn't have a very close relationship with my dad, so it was hard for me to say things because I thought there was going to be repercussions. What I admire about you is that you have that open dialogue where you make it welcome. You know, the way I was brought up is a kind of a strict environment where I do fall into that category where I didn't feel comfortable, and so I did rebel in some ways. And I want to make sure that we're all heard. Andre, if you said that you're not a dad yet, we know you're not a dad. But what I love about you is that you coach many, many, many kids. So if you had a piece of advice for fathers who are aspiring to be dads, what would that be?
Well, before I actually answer the question, I actually want to say to all the fathers that are here on the panel, and for Michael that shared earlier, I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate you guys, and I applaud you guys for the incredible work that you guys are doing as fathers to making sure that your kids have a solid foundation. To be completely honest with you, I'm not a father yet. But I know one day it will happen. But I will remember this day, and I will remember some of the things that was said tonight that will make me a better father at some point in time. As Karen said, I have been coaching since 2006. I am not a father, but I've fathered a lot of kids, and I have seen where that masculinity, where that manly figure is needed in a lot of our homes, especially in the Black community. And as the conversation is going, I've been thinking, it takes two people to get together and to bring a child in this world. So it also takes the same two people to make sure that that child have the necessity of life, and having both parents being involved in their life. I believe someone said it earlier that about fighting for their kids, going into the legal system and making sure that you get an opportunity to spend that time, because it's a connection that a stepfather can't make, a brother can't make, a grandfather can make. Only a dad can make that connection with the child. So for younger generation who are coming up now, who's aspiring to be a dad, watch this video over again and listen to the real fathers and hear the conversations that they're sharing. Because I'm telling you, I'm leaving this platform a better man, and soon to be one of the most proud dad ever.
I love you for that, Andre. And you know what? Even though you're not a father, a lot of young men look up to you as such. I really am a firm believer that you don't have to be the biological father to be that father role. I believe it was Ken who was saying that he's a stepfather, and it's just as empowering, if not more sometimes. So I really believe you've already taken on that role with all those kids that I see you maintain on the field.
Well, if I could just add one thing, it's funny you said that, because that's actually true. When my first team that I coached was 16 years old, and I kid you not, this is a reality. They were 16 years old in a Black community, kids that did not seem to have a clue as to where they were going. The first time I stepped on the football field, I asked them for report cards. and they ask me, which coach asks for report cards? It's just a recreation stuff. And I'm like, I'm not here to really coach you soccer, because it's either you got it or you don't. What I really want to do is to make sure that you're on the right path, which is having an education. That's what I'm here to really take, to coach your mind, right? To get you prepared for the world. I kid you not, most of those kids have 50% on the report card. I send them all back to summer school. 9 of them, including 2 girls, went to university and college. That's when I felt like I won a championship. That's when I felt like my presence here as a coach is actually producing better role model, better citizen, better young men and I was in Malvern.
I remember I took my son to go see you, remember, and you
right?
coached him too personally, right? You're good at that. You're a great mentor.
I love kids. I love kids. And I want to see our community, our Black community, our young men and women, strive. You know what I mean? It's too often they get locked up or they go into prison, and it's because of the lack of fatherhood, in my opinion.
And that's why I'm glad our panel's here. I love you. Thank you, Andre. I love you. Sweets, if there's a man on this video watching and he feels like he's not good enough as a father, that he feels inadequate, what piece of advice would you give?
You know what? Like I always say that me and my friend always have this debate. There has to be law and order within the household. If it's not within the household, it has to be within the community. If it's within the community, like Andre right here, he's within the community, because the household's not there. It's guys like him that make a difference. You understand? If you can't step up, go to somebody who can help you step up. It's okay for us men to ask for help. Hey, listen, I'm having a problem with my son or my daughter. What do you think I should do? Get advice from somebody who's been through it. You know what I mean? Like Andre said, one day he hopes to be a father. But right now, he's practicing. And he's doing a damn good job. And I applaud you, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, so don't be afraid to ask for help. That's what I can say to all the men on here. If you can't do it, find somebody else who can do it. You're not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Don't let somebody else do it. Don't let your baby mom do it.
Episode 2.
Yeah. So that's my giveaway.
I love you, man. I love you. And I love your, when we went to see your nephews and stuff, when I go with them, I just love the way you are with them, man.
Yeah, because I'm telling you guys, I got a lot of nieces.
You do.
I got a lot of nephews. I got grandnephews. I got grandnieces. And I'm hard with everybody. You know what I mean? Because they have to be, if they're not afraid of somebody, then that's when shit happens. Disrespect happens. So my niece, when they're acting up, I'm gonna call Uncle Sweets. They straighten up. Cause they don't want to deal with me like that. Cause if I hear it, then we gonna be some problems.
That's why I call you, That's why I call you to help. That's why I call you, right, Sweets? That's why I call.
If they call Uncle Sean Hilton here and say, hey, listen, Uncle Sean, I'm having a problem with this. They say, oh, Dan, don't call Uncle Sean. Don't call Carlos. Don't call Kern. You know what I'm saying? If they're afraid of one of us, then it sets the pace for something greater that they become in the future. You know what I mean? So
amen. I love you. Thank you. Thank you for being in my life, Sweets. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. And Kern, if there is a daughter out there that is or son, but I'm talking about you, if there's a daughter out there that doesn't feel comfortable speaking to her dad, what advice would you give?
I would say kind of similar to what Sweets is saying, find that person who you can speak to. And I would probably take it a step back and really figure out why you don't, if you're a daughter, why don't you feel comfortable speaking to your dad? And if you could let your dad know why you don't feel comfortable speaking to him, maybe you give him that opportunity to step up, because sometimes dads just don't know. Even good fathers, they just don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? You don't know exactly what, like being a single father, there were times I just didn't know exactly what my daughter needed, but because we have such an incredible bond, she was able to come to me and talk to me and say, hey, this is what's going on. This is how I feel about when people say something about my hair. this is what it feels like when I go out with my friends and I'm the darkest girl. Like we could come and we could have those conversations, right? So I think, I mean, that's a lot to put on a child, to be that mature, to kind of go to their father or parent and be like, hey, this is what's going on. So I would try to flip the question and say, you know, like, as fathers or as parents, like what are you doing to make sure that the lines of communication are really open, and your child feels really, really supported in their good and bad decisions? They can still call you and say, hey, like, this is going on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like, Daddy, I drank too much tonight. Come pick me up. You know what I'm saying?
And
like,
no judgment, and no judgment, and
judgment. You just jump in your car.
judgment. Don't look at me. Don't talk on the ride home.
Exactly.
Just get home
Just go.
safe. Just go.
So I think that's important. Just the relationship's important, man. Like, I think it was Andre that was saying, everyone's saying it, but Andre made a really good point of saying it, like, the relationship between a father, a male figure with male energy, especially in these times, I think is super, super important.
Yeah, you're right. Right. I love that word, male energy. I love that word. Yeah, I love that. And I love you, by the way.
Thank you. I already know.
And I know. And Monty, I have a question for you. My last question is, if there's a man watching this video right now and he's reluctant to get therapy, he's scared, it's not really how he's brought up, afraid to ask for help, he doesn't do therapy, what advice would you give?
Pick up a book. Look at other people who gone down the path of fatherhood. I mean, as I got older, I read more of Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey. You know, you can, there's examples out there of how to be a great father, male role model, everything, if you don't have a personal one there. It's just that you really have to believe, and you have to get away from the like superhero thing, or the what they call buffoonery that you see on TV and everything. If you watch a lot of what they call them, reality TV shows, and I'm not putting this guy down because he makes his own stuff his way, but if you look at a lot of Tyler Perry stuff that don't deal with real relationships, where it's not really connecting, you have to watch stuff that's real. That's the whole thing. If you don't want to go to a real person, you have to watch and read stuff that's real. That's the thing. You can't look at the Cosby Show and say, oh, I'm gonna raise my kids that way. I didn't come from a family of doctors and lawyers where nobody got whoopings. That's make believe to me. It's a great show. I'm not putting Bill Cosby down, but it's not believable. So you have to read somebody's autobiography, just like the men on here. You know, some come from the Caribbean. They grew up a different way. They see their uncles and everything. If they was to write a book, I read it, I'm gonna get a totally clear understanding of how to be a male and what they might have went through and how to help, you know, like Andre, how he's helping different people. I don't know how he got to that level of helping people, but if he wanted to expand it and read different books and different things, because I did mentoring also, and the one thing is you run across so many different personalities. He's gonna agree with that totally. And it's like, you have to know multiple ways to deal with people. And even your own child nowadays, like me, I'm in my 50s. It's a generation gap now. It's like some music and the video games, and people have access to my child that it never happened when I was growing up. I had to be home when streetlights came on. So it's like, you have to find real people and real material to bring up a real daughter or son.
I love that. And what I love, what the word you said is real. And what I love is that you had your opinion. I love that all you guys, this is your opinion, and what's real for you is what works for you best. And you said so many things about the generation gap. You said so many great things. All of you said great things. Everyone in the chat said great things. This is all opinions. I know we're all going to go back to our respective homes or couches and meditate on what we said today. And I think everyone could take a piece of what everyone said, take what's for you. Not everything's meant for you, but this is a panel, right, of opinions. They're just opinions, but this is a safe space where men can just say their thoughts in a judgment-free zone. So as I have my panel shift to the side for just one moment, and guys, I thank you for being here with me and sharing your story. You have no idea how much your opinion matters. The chat today and the participants, Your voice matters. By you guys showing up tonight, not just my panel, but the participants and all the men that I work with side by side for years, all the men that came on, you guys know who you are. Thank you for being in my network. Thank you for being a part of my men series for season after season and sharing your stories. It's platforms like this that make a difference. I commend you, men, for sharing your stories authentically, raw, direct, without holding back. This space is meant for you. I commend you for showing up. That's what Black Men Speak Up is all about. Speaking up, showing up, and never giving up. For those of you who may not know, I have a men's series, and it's a space where men come together every month. If you're new to Black Men Speak Up, I encourage you to come every month. You don't have to be a man that identifies as Black. I truly believe that we all learn from the stories that we heard here today. I just thank Roots and all the funders that make this possible. And if, as you guys know, every time we always want to end off on an affirmation from my book, because I want to end off in a positive space. My book is called Shame Over. And this book I wrote for men of all races, walks of life. This book is for you and for mental health. I thank everyone who has their copy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read you an affirmation from this book. And I want you to meditate on this. This affirmation comes from page, where is it? Here we are, page 88. It is affirmation number 1 and affirmation number 11. And it says, I am capable, courageous, competent father, and I surround myself with strong, content men. I am a capable, courageous, competent father, and I surround myself with strong, content men. Thank you so much for everyone who has been here tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Thank you, the book. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for all of you who've made the time to come here tonight. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Shane, for being there for all the men. Thank you to all my panelists. I will be emailing each of you after this episode with the video links that you have been asking for. I'll make sure that you have access to that. And what we can't wait is to see you all next time on Black Men Speak Up. That is it for tonight. Thank you.